Welcome to episode 1 of the Equity East Midlands podcast. This is the first of 16 episodes. In this episode, we're going to talk about conference and our industry and how it's really integral to how members just interact with the policy making. So who have we got today? We've got Kim Gillespie.
Hi.
Mel Parker.
Hello.
Ken Ogborn, and of course myself, Karen Lyon.
Hello.
And today we're going to start with...
Starting with me, conference, the myth. What is conference? When I joined Equity, or the coming along to the meetings, I should say, not when I joined Equity, when I became more active in Equity, there was this buzz. This buzz always about conference. And my history in the corporate world has meant that I've attended many a conference, but industry conferences, not a union conference, of which I came to realise was quite a different beast, dare I say. So I'll start with you, Kim, as our esteemed chair, just to kind of just to kick off with the basics of what is conference.
Right. Okay. Well, what you mean is I start with the boring stuff. I'm going to give you the bureaucratic stuff, the basics, and then I might spin off from there actually and kind of move away from that.
Okay.
But we'll see. As all unions have, there's an annual conference, and it's the supreme body, so to speak, of any union, and particularly Equity. It's where policy is kind of decided and decisions are made, and it carries us through the year to the next conference when we get a report back to say how much the council have kind of carried out those decisions. So in a way, it's a kind of big decision-making process. I mean, in the old days, actually, Karen might kind of confirm this as well. It used to be also an opportunity to let off steam. You know, there used to be kind of factions within the union who kind of argued over various aspects of policy and stuff like that. But actually, latterly, because the activists and the campaigners actually have kind of taken over the asylum, so to speak, it's become more a confirmation of that campaigning kind of outlook that the union's got, especially in terms of its activism and those kind of decisions. That's good and bad. It's good because we don't waste a lot of time. You know, I mean, it could be perceived as being a bit bad because it's a bit of an echo chamber. But, you know, some people like being in an echo chamber. It means that there's a lot of people around you that are very supportive. You know, we mostly agree on the stuff that we're pushing through. But it's mostly unanimous nowadays. And what's interesting is how quickly and how kind of tardily sometimes the council of the union carry out some of those decisions. And that's what we have to keep an eye on over the year and in subsequent conference. I think that's it, isn't it, Karen? Anything to add to that?
The main thing you really highlighted there was this transition now between an affirmation conference where I was often not sure what was going on from year to year, and there was all completely different motions, and everybody had a different thing they wanted the union to do, and there was a report back, and there was the industrial centre of the union. But over the last few years, it feels like things are being done industrially, and it's the catch up. We get to know what's going on, plus there's what do we want to happen next, and also the fringe component that's arisen at conference over the last few years. We did some open spaces for a few years where anyone who wanted to talk about something that hadn't been mentioned so far could write it up on the wall between days, and then there was sort of a free-for-all. But the last few years, they've really focused on some specialist subjects that we could then all go around. I think there was working class network being launched. There was one about, you know, what branches can do about their social media, a sense of branches who were there getting a sense of what they can go home and do, what you can take back. And all three of it, you know, myself, Kim and Ken, were at this year's conference in Derry. So yeah, I think the transition that the union has made with conference, if members do attend, really gives you a sense of everyone that's attending. And I think being Ken's first conference, he could probably sort of carry on from that.
Yeah. So Ken, can I ask you a question then, Ken, about it as Karen's just said, this was your first conference, and I think that's come out from the two things that Kim and Karen have just said there, is that actually there's a real opportunity, isn't there? That's the point of this, that if you have things as an actor, as you are, that you feel you want to be addressed or affect change, this is the route to do it, through your branch, to have those discussions, and then you agree a motion each year, to have that then tabled at conference. Did you feel a sense of that as your first time going along, as well as the wider information you might have learned about, that it's an opportunity for you as an actor to get things addressed or listened to?
Yes, I'd say to everyone in the performing arts industry that it's a fantastic opportunity to get an idea of what's happening in the arts nationally, and also to meet some people who are thought leaders in the arts from all over the UK. You can meet people from Scotland and Northern Ireland and Wales all in the one place, so that you can understand what the arts industry is dealing with across screen and theatre and events and variety and so on. So anyone in your niche will have a representative at conference, and you'll be able to meet other people in your niche and understand what they care about. It's a brilliant place to go to meet people and to meet ideas. I was excited by conference because I care about the macro picture of policy, and I care about what our industry is thinking about in terms of policy on a very large scale. I also care about how our industry interacts with government. And so it was a chance to learn about that too. And then it was a chance also to learn about the ways and functionings of a union. How does a union work? It's called a democracy, but you're in a room of unanimity. And from the outside perspective, you can see both the advantages in that unanimity, but you can also see the disadvantages in anyone who wants to present an alternative point of view is going to find it quite difficult just socially in a room of unanimity to stand up, stick their head above the parapet and say, actually, I disagree.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. That is very difficult. And actually, one of the things I kind of decided a couple of years ago was not to stand up on every standing ovation, because I thought, this is getting a bit ridiculous. I mean, in a way, that unanimity you talk about is there, and it is exciting in a way, and it's kind of, it can build on it. It's quite good to be in a room of campaigners and activists. But that idea that we need to do that affirmation of every single point that somebody's making, in that kind of way, that kind of draw back a bit. But as you say, Ken, it's a balance, isn't it? Balance is we get things do get done, really, to a large extent, and we do get those kind of results, and you get all that information and stuff that's coming back to you. Yeah,
there was this feeling for me that we're hearing motions from all over the country, and these are motions which either can seem important to that locality, or they can seem important to some members and their identities. So, for example, we might want to see a motion tabled about greater representation of disabled people, or we might want to see a motion tabled about the ways that hair and makeup are, able to handle people of non-white origin, kind of thing. So these motions are important to people of various identities, or important to people of various localities. And yet it struck me as, on the very, very largest possible scale, that motion 19 was the most important one. And if we decided that one, we could all go home, which was to campaign for arts funding to be raised to 0.5% of GDP. Well, that was motion 19. Why was that way down at motion 19 on day 2? That was literally the most important one. If we can sort that one out, then everyone else can, everything gets sorted much more easily. So there was this idea of, like, these policies are important, but they're going to be jumbled up because this is a democracy where everyone can present their motion.
Yeah.
So then there's that tension between we need a unifying flagpole policy of 0.5% of GDP. Sort that one out. And
that flagpole, because of course these podcasts that are going to come out every fortnight, they are only 10 minutes. This one,
our time is up. You're going to tell us.
Uncovered. We're going to try and keep some similar topics that we can keep reframing and bringing back up. And conference is going to be a big one. Conference happens once a year, but there are other industry conferences that happen all the way through the year, and there's all sorts of things that we're going to want to bring to the table. So on this occasion, if you've enjoyed this podcast, if you're listening to it, please subscribe wherever you subscribe to your podcasts. And if you're watching it on YouTube, please do hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you very much, Kim. Thank you, Mel.
Bye.
And thank you, Ken.